There comes a moment when the narcissist finally realizes what they've done, but by then it's too late. The mask has fallen, the audience is gone, and the only person left to face is themselves. What used to be admiration has turned into silence. What once fed their ego now starves it. This is the part they never saw coming. Regret, not the kind born from love, but from the loss of control they thought would last forever. When reality hits, it doesn't whisper, it crashes. The narcissist wakes up one day to a world that no longer revolves around them. The attention, the admiration, the validation they once commanded has vanished. People they manipulated have moved on. You've moved on, and that realization lands heavier than any punishment. They thought you'd stay orbiting their chaos. Instead, you built a new world without them. At first they tell themselves it doesn't matter. They pretend they don't care. They scroll past your life like it's just another post. But their chest tightens every time they see your peace. Because that peace was once theirs to disturb. You were the mirror that made them feel powerful, and now you're the reflection that reminds them what they destroyed. That's when the crushing regret begins. The quiet kind that never leaves. The narcissist's regret isn't about losing love. It's about losing control. You were the emotional supply that kept their world spinning. Your empathy, your patience, your belief in them gave them power. When you walked away, you didn't just leave, you unplugged them from their energy source. And now, every fake smile they post hides a battery that's finally dying. Regret, for a narcissist, doesn't come in tears. It comes in silence. Long nights staring at the ceiling, haunted by memories of the person they thought would always forgive them. They replay conversations, not to understand you, but to rewrite them. In their mind, they're still the victim, still misunderstood, but deep down, they feel it, that sharp, unfamiliar ache called accountability. It's the one feeling they can't manipulate. They thought they could replace you easily. They found someone new, smiled wider, and tried to look happier. But every new supply fades faster than the last. The thrill wears off. The laughter sounds forced. The warmth never reaches their heart, because you can't replace genuine connection with performance. What they miss isn't attention, it's the authenticity they can't recreate. The narcissist's biggest mistake was thinking you'd never change. They counted on your forgiveness, your softness, your endless willingness to understand. But you did change. Pain became your teacher. Boundaries became your strength. They didn't expect your silence to hurt more than your anger. Now your peace is louder than every argument they tried to win. When they see you thriving, it confuses them. You were supposed to fall apart without them. They expected your world to crumble, not bloom. But there you are, smiling, glowing, healing. Your light isn't revenge, it's revelation. Every success you enjoy is proof that they never owned your spirit, and that truth burns deeper than any insult ever could. They start to revisit your memories. The moments when you believed in them, defended them, tried to save them, but nostalgia becomes a knife. Every flashback cuts deeper, reminding them that no one has ever loved them the way you did, and no one ever will. They thought your love was weakness. Now they realize it was the strongest thing they'll ever encounter. Reality hits hardest when the narcissist looks around and sees the emptiness they built. Friends have grown distant, relationships feel hollow, and even success feels meaningless. The spotlight they worshipped now feels like interrogation. Every compliment sounds fake. Every victory feels cold, because admiration means nothing when there's no love left to hold it. Their world begins to shrink. The people they once impressed no longer answer their calls. The ones they discarded have found new lives, new peace, new love. The narcissist becomes a ghost in a world that's moved on. This is divine irony. The manipulator now trapped by their own manipulation. They wanted control, but they can't even control their own loneliness. They start watching you from afar, maybe online, maybe through others. Every photo, every sign of happiness stings. They tell themselves you're pretending. But deep down, they know the truth. You found what they lost: self-respect. The more you rise, the smaller they feel. Your glow is their reminder that while they stayed the same, you evolved. The narcissist's regret is twisted. It's not "I miss you," it's "I miss how you made me feel." You made them feel admired, powerful, alive. They crave that reflection of greatness, not your heart. That's why they hover, why they test, why they try to reconnect. They don't want love, they want supply. But your silence tells them the factory is closed, and that's a pain they can't soothe. Regret turns to obsession. They can't stop replaying what went wrong, though they'll never admit it was their fault. They stalk your peace in secret, hoping to find a crack. But there is none. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated their chaos. That's the part they can't handle. The fact that you no longer need the validation they used to weaponize against you. They begin to compare everyone to you, not because they value you, but because no one else provides the same energy. Others don't care enough to engage, to forgive, to feel deeply. You did. That's what made you powerful. They thought your empathy made you weak, but it was your greatest strength. You loved, without agenda, something their empty soul can't imitate. Late at night, the narcissist's armor falls away. The laughter stops. The distractions fade. All that's left is the echo of what could have been. They remember your voice, your care, your presence. But memory without growth becomes torment. They want the comfort of your energy without the accountability of your truth. That contradiction keeps them awake in quiet misery. They'll never tell anyone about their regret. Pride won't allow it. They'll keep performing, acting unfazed, pretending they're fine. But those who know them can see it. The irritability, the exhaustion, the emptiness behind their eyes. Their mask is cracking, and behind it is a person who can't escape the weight of their own consequences. The regret deepens when they realize no one believes their version of events anymore. Their old tricks no longer work. The pity stories, the half-truths, the "you were the problem" narrative, all of it sounds rehearsed. People see through the performance now. Truth has a way of surviving manipulation, and it's finally turning against them. For the narcissist, every day becomes a reminder of what they can't fix. They scroll through old messages, but can't send one. They rehearse apologies, but can't mean them. They want redemption without repentance. But that's not how healing works. You can't fake transformation. And you can't rebuild bridges that you burned with arrogance. You, on the other hand, have already won, not by revenge, but by release. Your healing is your victory. Your silence is your closure. You stopped explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, and in doing so, you took back everything they stole. Your voice, your peace, your power. That's what real winning looks like. They regret underestimating you. They thought you'd chase, beg, or return. Instead, you evolved. You became grounded, wiser, untouchable. Nothing disarms a narcissist faster than indifference. They thrive on reaction, and your calm is the storm they can't control. The more you detach, the more they spiral, punished by the same silence they once used against you. They'll try to mimic your peace, pretending they've healed, but imitation never replaces transformation. Their calm feels forced. Their wisdom sounds borrowed. You can't fake inner peace when your soul still feeds on chaos. They envy the serenity they once mocked. But envy doesn't lead to growth, it only deepens emptiness. They begin to realize what they've lost wasn't a partner, it was purpose. You gave their life structure. You brought meaning to their emotional void. Without you, they drift. Every new connection feels shallow, every interaction transactional. They can't understand why love no longer feels fulfilling, not realizing they killed the feeling themselves. As you rise, they fall deeper into the illusion of control. They double down on pride, acting as if they chose this solitude. But it's not solitude, it's exile. The universe has a poetic way of restoring balance. The narcissist who once made others feel small is now invisible. Their spotlight burned out, their audience left, and they can't perform for themselves. Regret becomes their daily companion. It's not loud, it's quiet, constant, corrosive. It whispers through the hours they once filled with manipulation. Every silence, every unreturned call, every ignored message echoes the same truth. They lost something real, and what's worse, they lost it by choice. They look at you and wonder how you moved on so gracefully. What they don't see are the nights you cried, the battles you fought, the strength it took to heal. They only see the glow, not the scars. But that's okay. You didn't heal to be understood. You healed to be free. And freedom, for them, is a language they'll never learn. As you rebuild your life, you begin to see their downfall differently. It's not satisfying, it's sad, because you once wished they'd understand love. But narcissists can't love what they can't control. Their hearts are wired for possession, not compassion, and that's why regret is their eternal companion. They'll keep longing for love they can never sustain. Sometimes they'll reach out again. A simple message, a "hey, just checking in." But don't mistake that for healing. It's not remorse, it's relapse. They want to know if your peace is still theirs to disturb, but it's not. You've learned that silence can be sacred, and the best reply to manipulation is peace that can't be shaken. The narcissist's world runs on illusion. When you stepped out of it, their reflection broke. That's why they can't move on. Every new supply reminds them of what they lost: authenticity. Every fake smile feels like punishment, because deep down, they know they traded something eternal for something temporary, and they can't buy it back with charm. They'll spend years pretending they're fine, but the truth will always chase them. Regret doesn't age well. It festers. It turns arrogance into bitterness, loneliness into self-hate. What they call privacy is isolation. What they call peace is exhaustion. You can't outrun consequences when they live in your own reflection. There will come a day when they stop pretending. The mask grows too heavy, the lies too tangled. Alone in the quiet, they finally meet themselves, the version they've been running from all along. It's not pride or strength they find there, but emptiness, a hollow echo of the person they pretended to be. That's the real punishment, living with a truth they can no longer escape. They might look successful on the outside, new house, new partner, new lifestyle. But success without peace feels like a cage. They keep chasing achievements that don't heal the ache inside. Because regret doesn't fade when ignored. It festers. No matter how far they go, the silence always catches up. And that silence carries your absence, like a shadow they can't outrun. You were their reality check, the mirror they couldn't break. You loved them with honesty, something they mistook for control. But love isn't submission, it's truth wrapped in patience. They couldn't handle that kind of love, because it required vulnerability, and vulnerability to a narcissist feels like death. So instead of healing with you, they destroyed the very thing sent to save them. Now every relationship they enter becomes a reflection of their mistake. No matter who they meet, your ghost lingers, not as a curse, but as a reminder of authenticity. They compare every smile, every moment, every act of affection to you, but nothing feels the same, because they never truly wanted new love. They just wanted the illusion of control that your boundaries took away. There's a point where regret turns into decay. The narcissist starts to lose interest in everything. They feel restless, but uninspired, surrounded by people yet deeply alone. That's when they realize something they'll never say out loud. They had real love once, and they ruined it. Not out of malice, but fear. Fear of being known. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being human. Sometimes, they'll see you in their dreams. Not angry, just distant. Those dreams wake them in panic, heart racing, guilt flooding the silence. They'll never admit it, but those are the nights they can't go back to sleep. Because in that dream, they saw what peace looks like, and it didn't include them. That image haunts them more than any punishment ever could. Your calmness has become their chaos. The quieter you grew, the louder their mind became. They can't stand the idea that you're no longer reactive. You used to be predictable, emotional, engaged, reachable. Now you're unreadable. And that mystery torments them, because if they can't control how you feel, they can't feel powerful. That's when they realize they've lost something far more valuable than attention influence. They start to test others, searching for the same spark they once had with you. But the laughter feels hollow. The affection feels mechanical. Every new connection ends faster than the last. Because you can't recreate authenticity through performance. They try harder, talk louder, fake deeper. But nothing fills the gap. It's not loneliness they fear. It's meaninglessness. You've become their unfinished story. The one chapter they can't rewrite. The one memory that doesn't obey revision. They'll try to twist it, call it toxic, downplay it. But truth doesn't bend for ego. Every time they lie about you, something inside them cracks. Because deep down, they know the one person who saw their soul walked away. And they let them. The narcissist's regret grows heavier when they see what you've become. Stronger, calmer, radiant. You used to orbit their chaos. Now they orbit your peace. They never imagined you'd glow brighter without them. Your growth is the mirror they can't shatter. It reflects their failure, not to love but to evolve. And that's a truth they'll carry like a scar forever. You, on the other hand, learned something profound. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from understanding. You stopped asking why did they do this, and started saying, I survived this. That shift is everything. You turned their betrayal into wisdom, their cruelty into compassion, and their chaos into clarity. That's what winning looks like when peace replaces pain. The narcissist regrets not your love, but your forgiveness. They thought it was weakness, it was your superpower. Forgiveness freed you while trapping them in guilt. Because forgiveness isn't about letting them back in. It's about letting yourself move forward. They stayed chained to their ego. You walked out free. And that's what separates the healed from the haunted. Sometimes they'll try to mimic your growth, posting quotes about peace and healing. But imitation can't recreate enlightenment. You earned yours through fire, through breaking, through rebuilding. They skip the pain and chase the image. But without humility, there's no transformation. Their regret deepens as they realize that you became what they only pretend to be, whole. They'll hear your name again somewhere, maybe in a song, a conversation, or a passing memory. And for a moment, the mask slips. Their heart aches, not from love, but recognition. You are their truth, the one they couldn't handle. They remember the way you cared, the way you listened, the way you stayed even when they pushed you away. That's when reality finally lands. They'll never be loved like that again. Regret becomes their teacher, but they resist the lesson. Every attempt to numb it, new people, new habits, new distractions fails. Because regret is divine correction. It doesn't leave until it's acknowledged. They'll spend years trying to bury it, But it always returns, and while they keep running from accountability, you're walking in freedom. Proof that pain can become purpose. You didn't win by being right. You won by being real. The narcissist's world is built on performance. Yours now runs on authenticity. They wear masks, you breathe truth. They chase admiration, you live in peace. That's the difference between surviving and evolving. And though they may never admit it, they know you were never the weak one in this story. Every narcissist eventually learns that manipulation has an expiration date. When all their tricks stop working. When the audience leaves. When silence answers their control. That's when reality hits. It's not dramatic or loud, it's lonely. It's the moment they realize they've become invisible to the person who once saw them completely. And you've won something priceless. Peace. You no longer crave revenge or closure. You don't need them to apologize or understand. Their regret is their own teacher now. Your only task is to keep growing, keep shining, keep choosing the version of you that survived. Because while they're still haunted by the past, you're already living your next chapter. The crushing regret of the narcissist isn't that they lost you, it's that they lost their reflection. You were the proof that they could be loved, even with their flaws. Now, without your compassion to protect them, they must face their own emptiness. And that's a pain they can't manipulate away. You didn't destroy them. Truth did, and truth always wins. So when you wonder if they ever regret it, yes, they do, but not in the way you hope. Their regret is hollow, born too late, arriving after the damage is done. You, however, have turned that pain into peace, that heartbreak into healing. You didn't just survive the narcissist, you transcended them. And while they remain stuck in a loop of illusion, you've already stepped into freedom. That's what you've won.